Hi guys, so today we're doing some vegan pigs in a blanket, and you put 2.5 cups of flour into a bowl and then put some sugar. Here I use brown sugar, and your little yeast buddies. If you're using packets, it's about 2 packets worth of yeast and about 2 tablespoons worth of brown sugar, and you're gonna give them a stir, let that get activated. Make sure that you don't use too warm of water. You want it to be a little bit like warm bath water. You don't want it to be too hot, or else you're gonna kill your little yeast buddies, and you don't wanna do that because then your bread won't rise and that would suck. So you're gonna do that. I need a little more water here, so I'm just adding more water, giving it a good stir. And if you're not using packets, it's 4.5 tablespoons of yeast. So then I'm just gonna set it up and let it rise, and then you'll see, like, if you wanna watch it, they actually grow pretty big. So it's actually really cool to watch. So I did a time lapse right here, so you can see about the size I let mine rise to before I added it to the bowl of the dry ingredients, which was just the 2.5 cups of flour and a little bit of salt. So then you incorporate all the ingredients together. Add your wet ingredients to your dry ingredients, and then I had to add some water to my little bowl here because not all my yeast buddies wanted to get in, so sometimes you have to do that. You have to just give a little more warm water. Make sure it's warm water, not cold. That way they stay active and everything. And then you're going to take your spoon and stir, go around the outside and through the middle. Any Julia Childs fans? Anyways, so you just give it a stir, and you're gonna keep stirring it until it gets to kind of a doughy consistency. So that's what I did here, and I actually ended up needing a little more water. Sometimes you'll find that you need a little more water, sometimes you need a little more flour. It just depends on the day. Baking is a science and it's magic, but it is not always the same. So just keep that in mind. You may have to make a few adjustments, but that's okay. That's all part of baking. So you just incorporate this all together, and you're gonna end up with a dough that looks about like this. So here's kind of what it looks like, and I just put a little oil on top before I covered it, set it to the side. So now I'm showing you what it looks like after it's risen a bit. Look at that spring back action right there. That's kind of what you want to look for. It should peel from the sides pretty easily, and then you can start molding with it. I also forgot to add that this recipe also has some oil in it. So it has about 1/3 cup of oil and maybe an extra tablespoon I needed to add in. And then if you count like what I rubbed on top, maybe a little extra, but here you're just gonna wanna start kneading your dough, get it nice. You just wanna kinda like squish out the little air bubbles a good bit and just kind of work it, like just sit there and work it. And you don't have to keep working it in the bowl. It's actually easier when you take it out of the bowl and put it on the counter and start working with it. So I just wanted to show you about what it looked like before I took it out and started working with it on the counter. So now that's what I'm doing, is I'm just like giving it a good knead. You're gonna wanna knead your dough for about 10 minutes. I know that's a long time, but just get your frustrations out or listen to some good music. Like, I don't like to think frustrations when I'm cooking. I like to think happy things. So I listen to some music that gets me all jazzed up, and just sit there and go to work on it. It's actually really cathartic. So if you've had a bad day, just put on some good tunes and like go to work on some dough, because it just makes your day so much better. Like, you could do a coloring book, or you could go bake something. I say go bake something because it is so much fun, and it gives you a chance to wear that cool Harley Quinn apron that your friends got you for your birthday last year. So at least that's my excuse to wear it. I would wear it as a dress if I could. Like, it's so cute. But anyway, I'm just kneading it, kind of letting you guys get the idea. There's a lot of different techniques you can use, but the point is you just want to knead the hell out of this thing. Get it a good size, nice smooth ball. After you've been doing it about 10 minutes or 3 songs or so, you're gonna get nice and good. And then I just oiled the outside of it again. And Then I'm gonna set it off to the side to let it rise one more time. And while it's rising, this is a perfect time to do some cleaning up and, you know, just general picking up and wiping down the counters, so that way you don't have a ton left to do afterwards. So here it is on the mat, and now I'm just adding a little extra flour so it does not stick to the rolling pin. Give it a nice rub down, smack it a little bit, give it a nice massage, let that flour get worked in pretty well, because I really just don't want this sticking to the pin, because I'm going to roll it out pretty thin. You guys will see that in just a minute, but let me just say, this Wilton baking mat, it's like a silicone baking mat, has been so worth every penny. I think it's normally like $7. I got mine on sale for like $4.97, but I would honestly pay $7 again for it, like if I get another one. I mean, hopefully I'll find it on sale, right? But it's so worth it. It's just perfect. You can like knead on this. It has little measuring increments on the side, so when I'm cutting the dough later, like I can actually be really precise with it, or if you want to roll fondant on it, it has just made my life so easy. I love it. And you can actually bake on it too. I don't bake on it very often. I prefer to just, you know, work my dough on it, so that way I don't have to clean as much of the counter, but it's really awesome and I enjoy it very much. So here it is. This is what it looks like, and you kind of can divide it up. I don't think you can see it from here, but there are little markers on the end. It's like a measuring thing. So I got it pretty much even from that measurement, so I could cut it, and then I'm gonna cut it one more time. It doesn't have to be totally even, because we're gonna roll this out to make it the size we want, but I like to just cut it one more time and work with it in smaller increments. So that's about the size of the first batch I'm gonna roll out, because these are gonna be miniature pigs in a blanket. They're not gonna be like full-on kolaches right now. So just give it a little pat, make sure it's good to roll out. And then this is about the size I rolled it out to. I went almost to the ends of the mat. And again, this is gonna be with Daiya cheese and the filled roast sausage that I'm taste testing or I'm doing a review over in a different video. So I got this on sale for $2.99. I was very happy, because normally it's almost $7. So let's get to making these things. You're just gonna put a little piece of the cheese, a little piece of the sausage in there, and then give it a roll and just make it kind of into a little ball. And this was really hard to do one-handed, so I had to set the phone down. I don't even know what wizardry I used on this part, but just roll it into a little ball and then set it to the side. It's good. And this is them in the oven. You're gonna let them bake off until they're golden, and you can hear them, they're a little bit hard, and I found out that that's because the first batch I did not let rise a second time. When you let them rise a second time, like after you put the filling in them, cover it and let it rise, and they get to be really, really soft. So this first one that I did it's a little crunchy on the outside. It was still good, it was still really yummy, but there's definitely a texture difference, so it didn't have that like nice soft dough filling. Spicy sausage from filled roast. So, ooh, look at that. Can you see the steam? I don't know if it's catching the steam, but that's beautiful. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna try this side first, because it's not as steamy, so hopefully it won't have a hot pocket moment and burn my tongue. That was still quite hot. Yeah, that's really good. This side had more of the cheese on it, I guess, not as much of the sausage, but okay. Let me try this side, because I'm, after all, reviewing how these sausages taste in kolaches or rolls. Okay, seriously, that was delicious. Like, it has a nice kick, a nice aftertaste. Obviously, I can't stop eating it. It's really, really good. Wow, I really like that. The only thing that could have improved it, which I don't know why I didn't think of this first when I first tried it, was like a little bit of mustard, because mustard goes on everything. Maybe not everything, but oh my god, that's so good. Okay. Excuse me. That's how you make that perfect. You add a little mustard, or if you're a ketchup person, add ketchup, whatever. But I think the mustard really, really, really like rounds it out and gives it something special. Those field roast sausages are amazing. They're a little spicy. I know that they make a regular type that's not spicy, so if you're not a fan of heat, I would suggest going for that versus the spicy ones, but I really like hot things, so for me that was really awesome. I really liked it. What else can I say about it? It has a good texture. It actually reminds me of what I remember meat sausages tasting like. If you're making them on your own, if you're following the recipe or anything like that, the first batch that I did had, in my opinion, it just had like the cheese melted into the bread really, really well, but then it wasn't like, oh, there's cheese in this when I pull it apart. So that would be my one like adjustment, which I made towards the end. That was one of the last ones I did. So my two adjustments I would make from what I did in the beginning, then towards like what I kept changing to make them better. I would let them rise a second time after you stuff them, because it definitely improves the overall texture. They're not as like hard on the outside. They're much more I don't know, like soft. They're softer, I guess is the best way to put it. They're softer. The cheese also, that was the other thing, to add more of the Daiya cheese. The first ones I guess I was being stingy. I thought I was putting enough in there, but it just kind of melted into the sides of the dough. So my big baking tips for the day is knead your bread. Knead your bread at least 10 minutes and then let it rise. And then after you stuff them, put something over, like you can use plastic wrap or you can use a kitchen towel. Just don't let the kitchen towel like sit on top. The way I do this is I'll put them on the pan, and then I'll put like a small cup or like, you know, I was trying to see if I had one close by, but like either a small cup or a small container bowl or something like that, that's just gonna raise it up just enough, and you can blanket it over and kind of tuck the sides of the cloth underneath, and then that way it'll keep that heat in and it'll let them rise again, but it won't rise to the top of like your cloth and then be a sticky mess. Or like I said, you can use saran wrap, but you want to make sure whatever you do, it's breathable so that it has room to rise. And then my other suggestion after that would be to make sure you pay attention. Don't get distracted doing other things. Like, I mean, you can clean up. Like I was doing a lot of cleaning and everything like that, and staying relatively close to the kitchen, but when I burned them was when I walked a little too far away, because I wasn't like, even though the timer hadn't gone off yet, sometimes things cook quicker. So like your first batch usually will take longer than your second batch, because by the time your second batch has been in, the oven's been on for a while, so it's already really hot, and the things have already risen a little bit more theoretically if you've already made them. So by the time you get that second batch in, they're gonna cook quicker, so you need to pay more attention. So set a timer, let it rise a second time, make sure you knead your dough very, very well, and put more of the Daiya cheese in. Those are my suggestions for the kolaches or pigs in a blanket, or I don't know, whatever you want to call them. But that was my recipe for today. They were amazing. I have more cleaning I have to do because I just made 2 more things. I'm having like one of those amazing cooking days, which is great, but there's always messes to clean up afterwards. Okay, so I will see you guys later. See you guys tomorrow with another video. I hope you're having a great day.